it is I, the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner, and you are listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Keep listening and have yourself an eargasm.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
You're the man, honestly. If you're ever listening to this thing, man, dude,
we love you.
I bow down, man. I am bowing down to the power of Ken.
Bow down to the
candid photography.
Candid photography, but right now,
is your wife a goer? Does she go?
probably sometimes. But still, right now.
What are you doing for the environment?
Right now, we've got SoCal Val.
SoCal Val.
James, you conducted this interview.
How'd it go?
Me and Ace of, no, not Ace of Spades, Chris Ferguson, pardon me. Why do I have Ace of Spades stuck in my head? The Ace of Spades.
Go ahead.
Well,
SoCal Val, how was she?
I don't want to live forever.
You know what, James, your mic is gone. That's what you get.
Synopsis of this interview, it went good. She's really, really cute.
Your mic is gone, Brendan. James, your mic is back on.
Just like you hear.
Just as you hear. Anyway, so we've lost our brains. My mic is gone.
Chris Ferguson actually conducted this interview with me. He did a really good job with it. She's very spunky. She's very cute. She's very talented at talking, and I think you're going to start seeing her on TNA TV.
Talented at talking.
Well, she's actually comfortable behind the microphone. She's more.
Get on with it!
The sound that makes me punch infants!
Brendan Brooks is throwing things!
Okay. Why don't we play the interview before we lose our minds completely?
Take it away, Virtual James.
Welcome back to the Blaze 1260 AM, as we are now being joined by the princess of pro wrestling, SoCal Val. Val, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so glad you used my full name.
Ah, really?
Yes.
Did you actually spend the money to copyright that?
No. It's something I'm looking into, though. I think it's something that I want to keep around, so.
The only reason I say that is because I get lectured every time I introduce Missy Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
I have to call her the first lady of pro wrestling because she actually spent the money to copyright it.
I love Missy Hyatt, and if she did that, then that means I have to do it because I think she's awesome, so.
Mm-hmm. And she's...
You'd also have to do it because the WWE is copywriting everything they can, so...
Yeah, copywriting is a big deal nowadays. I've been told to do it for a long time, copywriting SoCal Val and all that, but it's something I want to do, but I'm not sure. I'll have to figure it out and see what you have to do to get it done and all that, so.
It's not a cheap process.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Right.
That's why a lot of people just use the domain names as a means of registering things.
Right, yeah. I've had some problems with that, too. Getting your name as a domain name is hard because people will see that you've used it even for a year or so, and then they'll just snatch it right up because they know that you're going to use it the next year. So it's difficult.
Well, let's start out with your eager or meager beginnings, as it's put on your shoot interview. How exactly did you get involved in such a crazy world of professional wrestling?
Basically, just by being a fan. I was living in California at the time. I had just moved there and met some people that were fans of wrestling also, and they took me to some tapings, or actually to some indie events that I went to. I think the first one I went to was either XPW or Millennium Pro Wrestling. It was one of those. But I just basically got noticed by the fans. They started posting on a message board, which is SoCalUncensored.com, and they just got a little buzz going, and the promoters kind of took notice and wondered who that girl was that was walking around the shows, and just kind of came up to me and see if I wanted to do it, and I did.
Why wrestling? I mean, what exactly attracts you to the, I would say squared circle, but I don't know what to call the shape that the TNA ring is, so let's just say squared circle.
Ring. It was all of it. My sister and her friend Natalie had gotten into it. They were big Party Boy fans, big fans of The Rock, Jericho, people like that. I honestly was sort of opposed to it when they first started watching it. I'm really, really feminine, and I thought, okay, any kind of sport is just not up my alley at all. But then, honestly, what I started to notice were the storylines. Stephanie McMahon was involved with a lot of drama at the time, with Triple H and Kurt Angle and people like that. And I kind of saw it as a soap opera and started watching, and I just kind of wanted to see what would happen each week and see if, this person would get their revenge or if this person, So that kind of drew me in with the storylines, and I ended up appreciating the athleticism of it later on. But the first thing I noticed was Stephanie and just, the whole persona she had and all that. So that was definitely something that caught my eye.
Would you consider her one of your heroes in the business?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She is, she's who I've studied the most. My first show, they were coming up to me saying, you stand just like her and you act like her. And I was like, well, it's because I'm watching her tapes. I think she's really, really talented as far as mic skills go, as far as, attitude and just charisma and all that. I don't think you can teach. And so I've learned a lot from just watching her stuff, especially when she was heel, which she usually was. So she's definitely one of my heroes, I'd say that.
Is that what you prefer to be, the heel?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I enjoy both, but I really find that creatively there's more to do as a heel, and I think the crowd's reaction, their first reaction to a girl would be to cheer them because they are a girl and it's something different, and they're, you're dressing and, you're pretty scantily clad, but to make the crowd actually hate you, to make a whole crowd of males hate you is sometimes can be difficult, but to me it's sort of a challenge, and I'm glad I can do that as a heel.
Well, you've
Are there any other influence you have?
I stepped all over him. Why don't you try that one more time? I'm sorry.
No problem.
I stepped all over him.
Yeah. Are there any other influences you have, or you know what I mean? Any other influences in the business for you? Or?
Right. I began watching as I did more and more shows. I was told by different wrestlers and promoters and things like that to start watching other girls. I had already been watching, a lot of Stephanie, a lot of Trish, and things like that. But they got me watching more Francine, Dawn Marie. Those were two names that popped up maybe in my first show because they had been talking about catfighting. You got to watch the DCW tapes. Some of the guys recommended, I remember Jerry Lynn recommended Sherry Martel. Steve Carino was telling me about Baby Doll. I actually, I think Steve was one of the ones who told me about her too, but I had been watching Missy Hyatt. She was one of the ones that I found was just really close to what my character was, which was close to Stephanie McMahon. Just kind of a spoiled rich brat and real feminine, and I really was drawn to her because of how feminine she was, and how the whole snotty character was what I liked to watch. So she became one of my favorites as well, and of course Francine, Dawn Marie, all those girls are great too. I've gotten a chance to work with Francine lately, and she's just phenomenal. That's kind of a dream come true to work with someone like that who I've been watching on tapes, her with Shane Douglas, and she was awesome too. So I learned a lot from all of them and just kind of try to put my own twist on it.
We talk about Francine a lot. She's on our show every Wednesday, and we talk about some of the things that you guys do or have done in WEW. First of all, I have to ask you, and this is not related to you, but what exactly was she talking about? Because we just didn't have enough time to cover it. That she was playing a drunk recently at the WEW tapings?
Right. Her character sort of evolved into, when I first started with WEW, I was her assistant.
Yes.
Eventually I became the general manager for a pay-per-view where because, in the beginning I was her assistant. She was bossing me around. I was, playing a fan of hers, which is actually totally real life because I was. And, going up to her and saying, oh, I used to watch you all the time, Ended up I took her position as GM, and she ended up being my assistant who I got to boss around. And but her character sort of has evolved in WEW into this sort of, drunk. She's kind of just given up on WEW because there are all these different girls who aren't in wrestling running around wild, and, they're trying to forget about the wrestling aspect of it. But, of course, as you'll later see, hopefully she'll straighten herself out from her drunk persona that she's been doing. So, but she does it well, so I'll give a hand to her for that.
I got to say, I saw you when the first time that Francine showed up, and you came up, and you were like, I watched you when I was 12 or 13, and I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, how do I figure out how old I would be then? And you made me feel so old.
I hear that all the time, and my response is always, it's not that you're old, it's that I'm really young. Like, I was born in the year of Top Gun, okay, 1986. I just turned 20. It's absolutely ridiculous, but I was homeschooled and raised around adults, so I really don't feel my age, and this business, of course, and also I was around the music business a lot as my sisters are involved heavily in music and singing groups and all that. So being around entertainment that much is kind of, I think, you grow up fast.
Can you sing?
I can, but I don't really enjoy to. I don't, it's sort of intimidating for me. I'm fine to go out and do shows and, cut a promo and do all that, but as far as singing goes, I'm not a big fan of doing it in front of people for some reason.
If you weren't doing wrestling, what would you be doing?
Probably being very bored somewhere. Actually, no. I was, even as a kid, I was always entertaining myself, so I always had something going. I don't know, maybe something to do with fashion or acting. I enjoy acting. That's another reason why I like wrestling. Modeling. But I know that I wouldn't be happy doing anything else, really. If I never got into wrestling, it's something I'd always look back on and wish I had done. But I don't know. I don't really see myself doing anything else because this is kind of all I've ever wanted to really do. I had tried acting, and there was something missing from it. I really just didn't like it. I didn't like, the people. I didn't like I was living in L.A., I didn't like auditions. I didn't like anything to do with it. And then wrestling seemed kind of like I could branch out and do the acting thing, but be part of a family and be part of something that was better than just, some random casting call. And there's just so much more to wrestling than it is acting. So I think I'm where I should be.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've got a question. How did you come up with the name SoCal Val? Was that something someone gave you, or did you come up with it yourself?
No, it's my first show. They had been throwing names around, and I explained to them my character that I should be the way they described it was a gold digger, and I was saying, Stephanie McMahon type, real rich, spoiled, heiress type brat. And they were trying to come up with names that started with a V, and they were going to Victoria, and WWE already had a Victoria, and they said Vanessa. I didn't really like Vanessa. Landed on Valerie, and one of my friends that was there, he was laughing and pretty much just said, that's funny, you can be SoCal Val. And it actually stuck. The hilarious thing was I didn't intend on keeping it at all when I moved to Florida, and the first show I did there, I said, why don't you just use Miss Valerie or use Valerie or something? And they were like, no, we like it. It rhymes. It's catchy. It's cute. So they kept it, and it's stuck ever since.
You mentioned in Orlando. I guess that means that you appeared at Total Nonstop Action Wrestling.
That's right. I actually live in Orlando now. I've moved to California a couple times, but I'm based out of here now, and I'm loving it. I like LA. It's nice to visit, and I know it's in the name, obviously, so my name makes no sense anymore. But I really like Orlando.
Well, nothing south. Never mind. You can't think of anything in Florida that rhymes with Val, though.
No, and people are always like, "Oh, you can be so flaw, Val." I'm like, that
doesn't sound
good. That
good.
just sounds silly. Come on. Ridiculous.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in TNA? We haven't really had a chance to see you in much of a character role just yet,
right.
But I do know that you're doing some spots on the Explosion shows.
That's right, and I'm glad you asked because a lot of people have, the fans have been so sweet. They've been writing into the message boards and saying, we want SoCal Val on TV. We want, we want to see her on Impact. We want to see her. And I've tried to explain to them that if you get Explosion, that's where you can see me. Obviously, I'm doing Ring Girl for live events right now, which is such a cool thing to be able to do. You get the best seat in the house. You're able to cheer for all the guys. And but as far as Explosion goes, I've been opening the show with Jeremy Borash, kind of a co-host type of thing, and also doing backstage interviews. And conducting the backstage interviews is really, really fun. So I really enjoyed that, and I think it's a way to kind of let me shine in the area that I think I'm, have been working well in, which is, mic skills and cutting promos and things like that. So it's given me a chance to really be myself and kind of let my character out a little bit and in talking with all the wrestlers backstage. So it's been awesome, and I hope people have been enjoying it.
Excellent. Well, actually, you actually did some photo shoots for the TNA Knockouts. Tell us a little bit about taking those photo shoots, and is that something you're comfortable doing?
I absolutely love a photo shoot. I've been so excited to work at any kind of photo shoot, but to be able to work with Lee South is our photographer for TNA, and he is incredible. We have had so much fun just coming up with looks. 1 week I'll tell him, okay, I have a cowgirl theme, or okay, why don't we do this theme, or different looks, and just trying to come up with different outfits. I make a lot of the different outfits I've been wearing lately, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I'm just glad the fans have been really responsive with it, and I hope to do more and keep coming up with ideas. If anyone has any ideas, be sure to email them to me, because I love taking pictures, and modeling obviously is a really big part of your job as a woman in wrestling, so I'm happy to be able to do that as well as participate in the shows.
How do you feel about people who say that maybe girls shouldn't be involved in wrestling? Maybe the types that are like, well, it's a man's sport, and girls are just there for TNA.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it honestly, in a lot of ways, it's a man's sport. I was just watching Jackie Gaeta the other day on the ESPN show that the TNA folks were on, and she had put it this way. She said, "You're really stepping into a man's world," and I have to agree with that. You're, you are a minority. You have to be seen as one of the boys, and I think there's a place for women in wrestling because obviously, the audience is mainly male, and usually 18 to 24 or so, and they want to see a hot girl every once in a while. I just think that it kind of adds something different to it. Not that you would get bored watching match after match, but it just kind of breaks it up. You have your guys matches, but it's something different to see the girls come in there, and I think it lightens the mood, and it's something that guys obviously aren't opposed to seeing girls in their little outfits, but we've proven now that there are girls who can wrestle some just as good as some of the men, and I think that's only going to get better because there are more and more girls getting into it, and they're getting younger as well, which is shocking. I did a photo shoot for Ring Divas, and I was one of the oldest there. We had girls that were 18, 19 years old coming in, and you just realize how young that everyone's getting into it. I thought, I'm always teased that I'm so young to be into it. I got into it at 15, but that's really not even that abnormal anymore, I don't think.
Wow. Now, we had the opportunity to interview Tracy Brooks, who
hooray, Tracy.
Yeah, she put you over very strongly. That
yay!
well, that you and she did a recent photo shoot as schoolgirls. Right. And normally she's the one who's guiding people through the ring, and you're the one helping her through all the photo shoots.
Right.
What's she like working with?
She's phenomenal, and I don't. She laughs because the photo shoots we do, I'm usually, I'm so into how the pictures are going to look, and I'll be like, okay, let's pose this way, or let's do this, or let's have these outfits, or I'll call her before the shows and say, okay, do you have this outfit so that we can kind of coordinate? It's really cool. And the thing is, we learn from each other. Like, I think I've had some experience with photo shoots, so I'm able to kind of to kind of not tell her how to pose, but really. That's kind of more my area. Whereas she, she's really been in there wrestling, and people do not realize how much she wrestles and how good she is. I've seen her at shows wrestling, and I mean, it's cool to be able to help each other out in that way. So I'm just happy to work with her. She's such a sweet girl, and we have a lot of fun before and after the shows, and I really look up to her a lot.
How well are you versed in professional wrestling in terms of getting in there and wrestling?
I've had I'm going to put it this way. I've had a handful of matches. I've, did some training here and there, and I know that I love it, and it's a lot of fun, but it's not something that I really aspire to do right now as full-time, just because I am so passionate about managing, and, and even the stuff I'm doing now, the kind of like the on-air personality type stuff, that to me is a great way to contribute to the show if I can't be in there wrestling, because, like I said, it's not something that I think is a strong point right now. I would love to train more. I've been looking into training more for wrestling, but to be seen as a wrestler, I don't really see myself doing that. I started watching because I admired the women like Stephanie, Miss Elizabeth, Missy Hyatt, people like that were personalities and managers, and they were helping their guy win, and that to me that's more up my alley right now. Never seen that, but at this time, I just think that that's something I want to do more so than actually getting it in the ring and getting into wrestling.
You talked a little bit about your website early on, and one of the things you talk about on your website is your legs, which, if I might say, are quite nice.
Things,
What'd you say?
I said, those old things,
You could be like Mary Hart and get insurance on them or something, I don't know. But
Betty Grable do that as well?
I think she did, yeah.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, we're going to have you spending a lot of money with this interview.
I know, you really are. What do you
Copywriting and all that stuff, insurance and all.
I'll bill you, don't worry.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Alrighty, well, the question I have for you is another girl that's in wrestling is known for her legs, and that's Stacy Keibler. What do you think of her work, and do you think that you're maybe more devoted to it than she is?
I'll put it to you this way. I like her work a lot. I really enjoyed her stuff with the Dudley Boys. Just because she, at that time, I think, and when she first came to WWF, I think that was some of the time where I think everyone kind of has their peaks, here and there. I think her as a heel with the Dudleys and when she first debuted, I think that was my favorite time of her, just because she was so good at being so snotty and really had such a cute personality. And as far as the commitment to wrestling goes, I think I don't know her personally. I don't really know how she is, but there's certainly the difference between getting into wrestling, through a dance contest and getting into wrestling where, the way I did, which was making sure, seeing that that's what you wanted to do and making sure that it happened, talking to the right people, giving tapes. Not everyone gets into it that way. Some people kind of fall into it, and it ends up being a great career like hers has been. And some people just really, that's all they want to do. They don't really want to see wrestling as an avenue to get into anything else, because that's really not how I see it at all. I would never say, well, after wrestling I'll do this. I don't believe there's an after wrestling. The way I feel about wrestling now is if you're in it, you're in it, period. There's not ever a getting out of it. There's no retirement. I mean, I'm sure at one point, you have to stop doing shows, but it's something I think that's in your blood, and it should be seen that way instead of some kind of avenue to go do so-called better things. To me, there is no better thing than wrestling.
Sorry.
He's flabbergasted.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just kidding him.
Yeah. I have a thing about listening to people talk, but that's just. Well, talk about the TNA Backstage. Who's the coolest person to hang out with?
The coolest person? I don't know. I have all my buddies and all my protectors here and there, and it varies. That's the cool thing about it is there's not really one little group of people that I stick to. I call all of them my friends. There are times when I'll be out with AJ and David Young and be hanging out, or one day we'll be hanging out with Tracy and Gail, or everyone kind of hangs out together, and there's not really a cliquey atmosphere at all. So I don't know. The tag teams are nice. I don't know. They're all very nice people.
Well, you started so young in the business, and of course we all know that men like their women, and especially in wrestling. Yes, we've heard all the stories about how the guys are basically,
the word on the street, huh?
Yeah, we've heard of the stories. So, as a young lady, especially in the business, did anybody ever try to pick you up or anything like that?
Oh, never. It's never happened.
Right.
Not once. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, frequently, all the time, pretty much, yes. To be honest.
How do you combat that?
Well, you know what's horrible is before I was 18, I could say, you know what, I'm really young, and no thanks, but thanks a lot. You're very nice, and I enjoy your matches, but please leave me alone. But after I turned 18, people sort of stopped kidding, you know what I mean? And it was more of a hey kind of thing. And I don't know. I'm not a fan at all of anyone hitting on me, period. I don't like it. I don't want to say I get offended, but it gets old fast, and but honestly, at the point now, people have realized that they've learned to respect me, and the respect that I'm not there for that reason. Because the sad thing is because so many girls that are involved in wrestling and that are trying to get into it because they want to be around the guys, and that's just not something I'm interested in. I was never even before wrestling, I was never big on dating, or I don't like anything like that. I don't know. I just like to shop and watch wrestling, and that's pretty much it. Guy's a guy. You know what? I don't even really care. I've never really cared. So I don't know. Maybe I'm too young to really. I don't know. Not something that interests me at all.
Obviously, being as young as you are, do you think that there's going to come a time when maybe you're going to think, well, maybe I want a family. Maybe I don't want to be on the road all the time.
I highly doubt it, just because I've never really been a kid person.
But
I mean, you know what? But again, never say never. I mean, that could happen. But as I see right now, I don't see that happening at all. I see myself being really, really satisfied with my work, and it's only going to get better from here. I'm only going to become more and more busy with it. So I think that I don't think that would really be an option. Like I said, maybe someday, but I don't see myself leaving it for that reason, really. But like I said, I mean, people get older and they want a family, and I don't know. I don't see that happening, though.
Well, we talked a lot about the WWE, and one of the things that almost everybody, whether they admit it or not, has in them that's in this business is they want to work under that banner. Do you want to work under the WWE banner?
I've worked for them twice.
Yes, you did, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, in two different, very different projects. I mean, I did a backstage promo with Luther Reigns and Spike Dudley, Big Show, all those people.
I remember that, actually, yeah.
Yeah. I do, too. It was a lot of fun, and I was treated very, very well. Stephanie McMahon was actually the one who gave me that opportunity, which is quite ironic considering she's, my idea of, of a hero or however you want to put it. The second time was I was approached by John Cena to do a commercial with him that ended up, it was a really cute commercial. It's for one of his shirts for the merchandise site and for WWE auction, and that was a lot of fun. So I definitely know that, it's a nice atmosphere to work. I was treated very, very well. The little time that I did have, to actually do something for them. But I don't know. I mean, I'm happy where I am now. I'm a big TNA fan. I love what we're doing, and I'm just enthralled with it right now, and I'm just thrilled to be able to do anything with TNA. So that's where I want to be.
So you're happy where you are right now?
Absolutely. I am very, very, very happy. I'm totally excited to go to the shows. It's funny. I actually end up waking up early still for shows, even indie shows, but especially TNA. I can't. I'm so excited at times that I wake up early, and too early before I go into the building, and I just have to calm down because I'm so excited, and it just gets better and better every time. And I'm happy to be doing the explosion stuff now, and for the fans to be able to see me doing my thing. So I'm happy.
Well, if you ever get the opportunity to be on television managing someone, you had your choice, who would it be?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I have pretty much four main favorite wrestlers, which are WWE-wise, I'd say Triple H and Shawn Michaels. TNA, I'd say I'm a big Christopher Daniels fan, as well as AJ Styles. But honestly, I can't say one person that I would like to manage. I honestly would just like to manage someone that could benefit from having a manager because, not all wrestlers need one. Not all wrestlers know how to work with one also. So I would just be happy to, to venture out and do any kind of storyline with anyone that would need, maybe need a push, maybe someone that would need a little bit of promotion. That's my job as a manager, to promote them and to, get them closer to that belt that they're wanting. And that's something I would like to do for anyone that could use it and that could respect and appreciate my services, pretty much.
That's a very political answer.
Oh, well, thank you.
You manage now. I'm just kidding. Don't want to put anybody down. I love that, but...
Oh, my God, did I sound smart? Yay.
You're so spunky. That's kind of cute.
Also got that California thing going.
Yeah, SoCal Val.
I don't know what you're talking about, okay? Like, totally. California what? Oh, my God.
Was there ever a time you actually talked like that?
No, and what's funny is, I don't know if anyone would believe it, but I lived in Texas and North Carolina, and I had a southern accent as a child. I mean, not for that long because I did move around a lot, but I had a bit of a southern accent, so none of that Valley Girl stuff, really. I mean, I don't think I ever really picked up on it too much. Maybe a little bit, but not too much.
No, you have it down. I live in California, and yeah, you have it down.
Sweet.
Well, I've got a rather personal question, and you can shut me up at any time. What is your natural hair color? What is your natural hair color?
It's none of your business. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually a brunette. I've always had maybe medium to dark brown, which is strange because I have light eyes, and no one in my family has light eyes. But it's always been pretty much like a brown, like medium brown, I'd say.
Okay.
Isn't that a string of questions, or was that just one question?
That was just the one question.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought you had more questions coming to her. Okay. All right, well, I think this is about it, but we really can't thank you enough. This was a very interesting interview, and for those who don't know a lot about you, what would you like them to look forward to in your future?
I would just tell them to continue watching TNA, and, we're on Spike TV Thursdays now, so check into that. Check into Explosion if you get it in your area, and, drop me an email of what you'd like to see, maybe, maybe some upcoming photo shoots with the other knockouts, possibly. I'd love to do that. But just keep watching the product and supporting wrestling in general, pretty much.
What is the website address?
The website for TNA or for my...
For your site.
My site is www.socalval.net, and TNA is TNAwrestling.com. You can check out all the, all the scheduled dates for the upcoming live shows, for the shows on Spike and on the Explosion. So check that out. Check out the shop and, the pictures of all of us girls. So
Yeah, of course we will do that.
Good deal.
Yeah, but before we do let you go, one last question. This is about the DVD that they shot, I believe. about the knockouts. First of all, are you going to be a big part of that?
I don't believe so, but I'm not positive. I would love to be, but I don't really. I think it's right now it's Gail, Jackie, and Tracy.
Aww.
It's a really great DVD. Those girls are all super, super hot. They've got not only that, but they've got such great personalities, each and every one of them individually. So, check that out when it comes out. I think it's coming out in the summer. I interviewed Tracy and Gail, and they both said it was coming out in the summertime. So, give it a look, and let them know what you think.
Mm-hmm. And one last question is about John Cena, since you mentioned him earlier.
Right.
Obviously, he approached you, so you're not going to be, he sucks, blah, 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 but he actually helped you get an opportunity up there. But are you surprised at the amount of backlash that's coming from the fans towards him?
Somewhat, yes, I have to say. But then again, fans are fickle, but honestly, I like that in a way because it really challenges you. It really makes you want to mix it up. You can never be sure. You want to think, oh, I'm this definitely a heel. You're never sure. The fans are the ones who decide, and that's ultimately the right thing to do. The fans are the ones who will tell you what they want to see or what they don't want to see. So I'm glad they're as vocal as they are, and I think he can handle it either way. If they're loving him or they're hating him, he's still doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of his work. I never was, and I'm not one of the bandwagon jumpers.
Prototype? Come on, Prototype.
The Prototype I didn't mind so much. It's the character he plays now. I just don't like it. I never did. I never was one of bandwagon jumper. I never got on that, and now that they all turned on him, I'm not. That said, I did feel bad for him at WrestleMania because when he won the match, he did not look like a winner because of the crowd reaction. He looked like his world was over, and I felt bad for the guy.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know his emotions at that time, but I think he has enough skills to to back up whatever the fans are giving him. He's obviously doing well, because when they're hating him, he still knows how to react to it. When they're loving him, he knows how to react to it. I think can really hold his own, in his promos and things like that. So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm not sure. Like I said, the fans are fickle, but I'm glad they are. I hope they keep challenging him and challenging all of us.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was really, really fun. Thanks, guys.
It was great to have you on.
We're talking about Alice Cooper right now because we think he's the man. But that was SoCal Val.
Was it done? Because I was talking about how Alice Cooper talked about the guy from Rose Tattoo.
I just realized I looked at the posts on the board, and by the way, that was not Brendan who said Kenny 3 times. That was me.
That was him, yeah. See, Brendan, and myself, and Benya get confused constantly because of the B thing.
Cassie made a comment.
By the way, go to bed.
What?
Cassie, that is.
Yeah.
She's in England. It's 8 hours later there.
Jesus Christ, hon.
Cassie made a comment to Patrick about being scared that he knew all of their names. I'm going to one-up him right now and do it
3, 2,
Everyone,
1.
I want you to know this. You can check your facts, the actual theme song, in the correct order that they say their names. Kenny, Johnny, Mitch, Nikki, Mikey! And we are the Spirit Squad. That is the correct order. Go ahead and check it, because I know I'm right.
Wow.
I feel a little
you're
dirty.
not wearing your luchador mask.
Yeah, it's itchy.
It's itchy.
It's itchy, and it makes me feel manly, less man. What?
Well, depending on what you're into, man. Whatever.
You hear this? That is the sound of me throwing my agenda.
His rundown is gone. In the radio industry, the rundown is the Bible. And James just kicked me in the leg.
There goes your butt. Where's your God now? Where's your Messiah now?
Are you talking to Bill Watts?
Or Vince McMahon, or the crowd.
You bring up Bill Watts one more time, and James, I'm going to take you up, and I'm just going to punch you straight in the balls.
And don't forget the Joker.
My voice hurts from doing that, so I'm going to do it 20 more times tonight. You poor, poor man.